Hi, it's Maya, and today I'm going to be doing a summary of the book The Marrow, Thieves by Sri Denline. So basically we're going to start off by doing the classic plot diagram template. Let's start with the exposition. So in the book The Marrow, Thieves, we begin in this post-apocalyptic world. As we know, climate change is a huge problem in today, and in this futuristic world, it has increased in severity to the point that most of Canada is flooded, and the earth is almost inhabitable. And a side effect of this climate change is that most people have lost their ability to dream. And this loss of ability to dream has caused them to go mad. They are suicidal. Everyone is killing themselves because they can no longer dream. An exception to this illness is the Indigenous people. They can still dream. They are still healthy. And scientists find that it's because of their bone marrow that they are still able to dream. So they become a hunted race by dominant society because they have what dominant society wants. So they are constantly on the run. Everyone who is Indigenous is running away from dominant society and their desires to kill them and take their bone marrow. So the protagonist of this book is Frenchie, and in the exposition we find out that his family has been completely taken from him. First his father, then his mother, then his brother. He is all by himself. He's a 15-year-old boy, and he's left to the elements. In the beginning of the book, he has just lost his brother, and he's running away from the scene of his capture, where he goes to the brink of death and then is found by Miigwans in another Indigenous community. This is essentially a makeshift family. It's composed of teenagers Chiboy, Wob, Tree, Zigwan, children Riri, Slopper, and the elders Minerva, and Miigwans. Later on, Rose, his lover, joins. So this is a group of Indigenous people who have come from far and wide and have just found each other and hold on to each other for the need to survive. And they grow to love each other, enjoy their culture together, their language. And he learns a lot from his elders in this group, specifically from story, where Miigwans or Minerva will tell the story of how they came to be, about the residential schools. They really do cover everything in the story, and it's an essential part of Frenchie's character development. So, rising action, we come to know the characters in a bit more complexity. We do get these things called coming to stories, where each individual is looked at deeper, and they explain how it is they came to be a part of this group. For example, one of the first stories we hear is Wob's, who's lived this traumatic life previous to joining the group. Her mom was an alcoholic. She was an outcast. She was sexually abused. And she found her way to this group. And it goes on from there. And we get a deeper look into especially how residential schools have affected these children's lives and how they will further affect them in the future, as the residential schools are the site of the bone marrow extraction. And so I would say the climax of this novel is most certainly when, in and about that time, where the group comes in contact with these other Indigenous people. They are suspicious at first, but come to an understanding that they are all Indigenous, they are all being hunted, and it's okay to camp together just for the night. They later come to discover that these Indigenous people, rather than running, are actually supporting the recruiters, the people who are hunting bone marrow. So essentially, they rat out Frenchie's family to the recruiters. And in the midst of discovering this, a lot of bad stuff goes down, and in the end, the child, Riri, is dead. She is killed. It hits Frenchie hard. It destroys him on the inside. He is fueled with rage, and he goes to kill her captor. He kills his first person and experiences traumatic side effects from that. He loses his ability to feel for a few weeks in there. It really affects his character development. And continuing that climax, later on in that same week, their elder Minerva is taken by recruiters. And this really represents a loss of their heritage, as she is the oldest of the group and she held all of the language, the culture. She was really an essential part of that family in rooting them in their Indigenous identity. And then we get to the following action, where the Indigenous family comes to meet this larger Indigenous community, where Frenchie finds his believed to be dead father. It's a community of maybe 25 to 30 people, much more advanced than what he was previously living in. And they decide that they are going to save Minerva. They go to rescue her, and they hear that she has been fighting the bone marrow treatments to extract her bone marrow by the songs of her elders. She broke all the machines just by singing what was inside of her, rather. So they go to rescue Minerva, and she dies in the process of that rescue. And so the resolution we see at the end is Frenchie coming to terms with this death and also deciding to leave this larger community to be with his lover, Rose, and to start a new family. As they're running away, they do run into Migwan's believed to be dead lover, Isaac, and they are reunited, and it completes the story with a sense of someone being saved, people coming together, and that everything will be all right in the end. Despite these horrendous and painful losses, there is light to be found in this life of a runaway. And that's it.